Here's something that might make you uncomfortable. Right now, in every state in the US, anyone, literally anyone, can hang a shingle and start teaching voice lessons. No degree, no clinical hours, no exam, no license. Your massage therapist had to clear more hurdles than the person you're trusting with your vocal folds. Today on the Voice Science Podcast, I'm making the case that it's time for that to change. This one's going to ruffle some feathers, so let's get into it. Put yourself in this scenario. It's the start of a new calendar year. The annual conversation about health and wellness has hijacked the news cycle, and you feel the nudge. You restart an exercise routine after the holiday hiatus, maybe a bit too enthusiastically, and develop some aches and pains that just won't work themselves out. You finally seek the help of a chiropractor or massage therapist. Take a moment and notice all the framed documents hanging around the office. Diplomas, association memberships, licenses. Ask yourself, why are they displayed where I can see them? Although there could be several reasons, the primary goal is to promote confidence and trust in the knowledge and expertise of the professional you're about to see. Those documents issued by educational institutions, professional organizations, and state boards are a critical part of the vetting process intended to protect the patient from substandard or even reckless care. We expect nothing less from a health and wellness professional, so why don't we expect the same from voice teachers and trainers? I realize some of you are already pushing back. Wait, that's an unfair comparison. Is it? In the scenario above, we considered chiropractors and massage therapists as health and wellness professionals providing ancillary services. Their goal is to help patients regain, improve, and maintain optimal physical function, moving someone from a restricted state to one of improved mobility. How is that different from the role of a voice teacher or trainer charged with caring for a singer's instrument? I would argue there is remarkably little difference, and that's precisely the reason for this episode. Yet I hear the voices crying, "No, no, you're confusing a speech-language pathologist with a voice teacher." Really? Well, let's check that out. Before I continue, I need to establish some parameters. What I'm arguing for in terms of licensure is directed at one specific aspect of a voice teacher's multifaceted work: vocal production. It could be argued that voice teachers are asked to wear far too many hats. Beyond vocal production, a teacher has to track musicianship, handle repertoire selection, coach diction, particularly in foreign languages, guide lyric and character interpretation, manage physical presentation, and sometimes even accompany at the piano. It's an enormous scope. But today, I'm focused on the part that intersects most directly with health and function. Let me flesh that out with an illustration. Say we're building a structure. We hire an architect and engineer for the functional, structural, and mechanical aspects. Then, we enlist a decorator to beautify the space. The architect and engineer represent Team STEM. The decorator carries the banner for the arts and humanities. Team STEM leans objective. The decorator operates in the subjective. The architect and engineer are licensed professionals. Decorators, in contrast to commercial interior designers, may do their work without a license. It isn't a flawless analogy, but I hope it conveys what I believe is most consequential. Unless the building has functional, structural, and mechanical integrity, it doesn't matter how talented the decorator is. Vocal production is all about function, structure, and mechanics. To a large degree, the remainder of a voice teacher's responsibilities is more like a decorator's work. So as we continue, keep that narrowed focus in mind. Now back to the question we started unpacking. How do we distinguish between a voice teacher and a speech-language pathologist? What exactly does an SLP do? Speech-language pathologists assess, diagnose, and treat communication and swallowing disorders across all ages. Swallowing disorders are clearly outside the voice teacher's domain, so I'll set that aside. But an SLP is equally equipped to address communication issues like speech clarity, voice quality, articulation, pitch, and volume. Sound familiar? Pun fully intended. The evidence shows real overlap between services rendered by SLPs and voice teachers. Consider this. A speaker or singer finds it difficult to increase volume and seeks professional help. Who do they call? An SLP or a voice teacher? Which one is better equipped for assessment, diagnosis, and treatment? The answer I want to give is this. Go with either one. Both are equally qualified. Unfortunately, I've witnessed too much in my career to pretend otherwise. When it comes to assessing, diagnosing, and treating vocal production issues, SLPs and voice teachers should be similarly equipped. But by and large, voice teachers are lagging behind. Why? The answer is simple. SLPs and voice teachers abide by vastly different educational and professional standards. Here's a summary of what it takes to legally practice as an SLP in the United States. A bachelor's degree in communication sciences and disorders, or a related field such as education, linguistics, or psychology. Prior to completing a master's degree, 400 hours of supervised clinical experience. A master's degree in speech-language pathology or communication sciences and disorders from an accredited program. A 36-week, 1,260-hour supervised clinical fellowship to earn ASHA certification. A passing score on the Praxis exam for speech-language pathology. A state license requiring education, supervised experience, and exams for the state in which you practice. Continuing professional development hours to renew licenses and ASHA certification. That is an impressive gauntlet, and it warrants respect. Now, what do we require of someone wanting to be a voice teacher? Here is an actual job listing I found on a search platform. Requirements. Singing instruction experience is a plus. Musical background is a plus. Knowledge and background preferred. Can the bar possibly get any lower? You might think that's an extreme example, but I warn you, listings like these are more common than you'd think. What is more typical, particularly at local music schools, is a two-pronged requirement. Any music degree at the bachelor level, plus having taken voice lessons in college. That's an upgrade from experience as a plus, sure, but we shouldn't mistake it for good enough. It's a starting place. With proper mentoring and mandatory continuing education, a highly qualified voice teacher can absolutely be developed. Sadly, few schools share that vision. At a previous employer, new teachers were rarely observed and evaluated while teaching, hardly ever mentored by a veteran, and never required to demonstrate growth through continuing education. The lack of investment in faculty development is heartbreaking, and this is where I think technology can play a real role. At VoSci, we're building tools grounded in voice science that give teachers and students objective data about what the voice is actually doing, not just what it sounds like to a subjective ear. Acoustic measures like cepstral peak prominence, harmonic to noise ratio, onset quality, these aren't just lab metrics anymore. They're things a teacher can track session to session to inform their instruction. That kind of evidence-based feedback loop is exactly what a more professionalized field would demand. I often grow weary of working in a field that prefers a free and easy approach to professional standards. This is the result of working in a largely unregulated industry. Since there are no universal legal requirements, anyone can offer singing lessons. The commonly cited reasons? Voice teaching is generally considered a private instructional service, not a regulated public profession. There's a lack of standardized credentials. The field relies on practical experience over formal qualifications. And there's concern about the presence of diverse teaching methodologies. I take issue with every one of these statements. Differentiating between a private instructional service and a regulated public profession misses the point entirely. Reputable teaching should be the standard, regardless of setting. As for a lack of standardized credentials, that's an example of you have not because you ask not. Voice science has given our field evidence-based explanations for how and why the vocal mechanism behaves as it does, and voice teachers should be called upon to demonstrate knowledge of those facts. The notion that experience is preferred over qualifications reveals how much the industry has begun to bow to the consumer, turning voice teachers into talent scouts, grooming future stars rather than practitioners helping singers acquire skills. And the concern about diverse teaching methodologies? That's ludicrous. It flies in the face of academic curiosity. If exposure to a variety of models and methods strikes fear, you owe it to yourself to discover why. Is it fear of learning something new that might reshape your approach? Would that really be such a bad outcome? I've lived through exactly what I'm describing, and though it's hard work, it is profoundly worth it. I began my own teaching renaissance over 15 years ago when I was required to train in a specific method to teach at a college. That experience launched a journey I'm still on today. Although I was seemingly well educated and had years of performing experience, my teaching method was essentially to pass on what my excellent teachers had poured into me. I know I'm not alone in this. What I was taught, I now teach is perhaps the most common approach among voice teachers. And it's capable of producing good results, particularly with beginning students. But as you work with intermediate and advanced singers across the full age and gender spectrum, across a variety of voice qualities and styles, a teacher needs deeper tools and a broader understanding. Before 2010, I met every student with more of a one-size-fits-all approach. 15 years later, my work with beginners, intermediate, and advanced singers is far more tailored. I feel infinitely better about my teaching because I'm confident that what I've learned in the last 15 years, layered onto what I already knew, has brought me closer to a truly complete education. This is also why I'm so passionate about what we're doing at VoSci. A big part of raising the bar is making voice science accessible, not locked away in journals or gated behind graduate programs. When a teacher can pull up a student's acoustic data, their pitch accuracy, spectral trends, onset patterns, and use that to guide instruction, that's not replacing artistry, that's giving artistry a foundation it can stand on. And every teacher, whether they have a doctorate or are just starting out, deserves access to those tools. When I began writing this episode, I wasn't sure where the argument would take me, or by extension, you. This is a complex topic, and I've only scratched the surface. I understand why the voice teaching community hasn't seriously taken up the conversation about licensure. The industry is so committed to the unregulated model that I may well be nothing more than a voice crying in the wilderness. But maybe what I've shared today can spark something. Not a revolution, just a shift. A willingness to stop using autonomy in teaching as an excuse for delivering outdated, incomplete, or inaccurate information to students. Voice teachers need to collectively raise the bar for their students and for themselves. Put another way, behave as if you had to renew a license to keep teaching. That's a powerful goal for 2026. Raising the bar is what VoSci is all about. We're here to help students and teachers sing and sing smart. Whether it's the acoustic tools, the practice paths, or episodes like this one, everything we build is rooted in the belief that voice teaching deserves the same rigor as many other disciplines that touches human health and performance. Check out our other episodes and explore what VoSci has to offer at voicescience.org. Until next time, keep singing smart.